Welcome back to the CNT podcast. I'm Justin Yomart.
And I'm Tommy Terrio.
Now, let's get right on into it. I see no point in delaying it. Tommy, I believe you have card of the week.
Okay, so we're going off of a little bit of a technicality because I pulled this, but sue me, whatever. It isn't. I don't have the card yet. I'll get it eventually, and if not, we'll see what happens. Maybe I turn it into other Panini points or something. But I opened up a box of Panini Chronicles. I'm not going to show you. I already redeemed it, but I don't trust some. There's some people out there. You never know. But Braylon Marquez, Elite Auto. You can go look up the images online. There's plenty of images online if you want to go find what the card looks like. But I don't know. I'm happy that I pulled that. I really liked. I don't know. I liked the box. You can see my post on Instagram. It should be up by the time this episode comes out. I'm cool with it. It's the licensing. The lack of the licensing is it throws me off a little, but I don't know.
I want the card. If you see him, I like him more than you, and if you even try and debate that, you're wrong. Now,
I'm not going to debate.
I think that was a great card, but I want to show an actual card that we have in person. So I'm just gonna just a little something. It's a nice little Alfonso Soriano rookie. You can't see it amazingly. It's a Pacific Trading Cards Inc. 2000. And it's rookie on the thing. That little red blob at his foot. It says rookie. Very nice. Favorite player of all time. First rookie card of him. Looking for more. So if you have some, I want them.
So let's get on into the actual episode. So as you saw, title, thumbnail, everything else, we're talking about our good friend Rob and all that he lacks. So I want to talk about my first qualification that I think that any new commissioner needs, and that's an understanding of the baseball business. So it's cool to understand like the overarching concepts of baseball and to know the game. But in order to appeal to both sides, you have to understand the business, the money that goes into this. It's so much more than just, like, yes, it is awesome to have this game that we've played since pretty much all of us were kids. But you need to understand the millions and millions and billions of dollars that has to go into financing everything, paying for contracts, everything.
See, that is true, but that is not the biggest problem with Rob Manfred. The biggest problem with Rob Manfred is he doesn't understand or love the game of baseball. What we need, not even want, what we need in a commissioner is someone who loves the game of baseball, grew up with baseball, and not just a businessman who's there for the money like Rob. He needs to love the game of baseball. If the MLB is to thrive, the commissioner actually has to love the game, not just love the money.
I think that definitely is important. I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of people who are like I think you need that, like that. I agree. You need that passion. Like you need to have that drive to want to make the game a better place,
Quick sidebar. You know how we're always talking about we need to have a bloopers episode sometime?
Yeah.
I just had one. I hit my notes that my phone stand is on, so it messed with my clip.
I'm
not gonna edit it out. I think it's gonna be funny for the clip.
Continuing on. I think the next thing that needs to happen, and so I want the next commissioner, because I was looking more towards like the forward, like what I want to look for in the next commissioner, just because I think Rob Manfred should be fired. That's my opinion, and a lot of people should
have been fired years ago.
I think that they need to be a former player, but not a Hall of Famer.
Do you have any players like in mind?
Not off the top of my head, but I'm talking about like a hall of very good players, if that makes sense.
Why don't you want a Hall of Famer?
I don't know. I feel like we don't want, like, we've seen a big standoff between the owners and the players right now. That's the big thing we're seeing right now, right?
Right.
I think that I don't want someone who's biased one way or the other. I think it's important for them to understand the on-field product, but I don't want them to be a Hall of Fame player, and that's all of their reputation surrounding baseball. I think there's more to it than that.
Makes sense. So what happens if they hire someone who is still eligible for the Hall of Fame? He's not in it yet, and then while he's commissioner, he gets inducted. Would you want him fired, or
No,
would
I
you
would, I
want
would,
him?
I would still be okay because it's more about the mentality. Like, okay, it's more about the mentality of not being the Hall of Famer rather than it is the actually being the Hall of Famer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
The mindset you have surrounding the game.
We took
Yeah.
things a little differently. You want a former player. I want someone who's younger and not up there in his 40s. Ideally I want someone in their like early mid 30s, like 32, 34 ish. And that's still maybe being a little too old for me. And the reason why I want someone younger is because I want someone who grew up with the game at its darkest moments, with the all the scandals happening in the late 90s, early 2000s, who but still followed through and loved the game passionately and is still passionate about it. They will truly, that goes back to my first point, they will truly love the game, as well as they'll have a better understanding on how to market the game to younger fans to grow the game, which is something baseball needs to do if it is to survive another 100, 200 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I don't know. I like that idea. I like having like somebody younger. I think that's too young personally.
But I mean, I just think that it might be young and it might be bold, but I think that is honestly what could be best for the game.
I think if it works, it's going to work splendid. Like it's going the like it's baseball is going to look like a profit.
Mhm.
But if it fails, they're going to blame it on the lack of experience and everything else surrounding the youth who they hired.
Yeah, like this idea. It's swinging for the fences. You're either gonna hit it over or you're gonna strike out miserably.
Yeah. I got I
Honestly,
have
I will say this one last thing.
yeah.
I would rather have Rob Manfred for another 5 to 10 years, and then they do my idea of a younger player in it, a younger guy, and it works out perfectly. Than we hire someone just like Rob Manfred for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I'd rather endure more Rob Manfred and this plan to work than anything else.
Yeah. I don't know. I have I have some thoughts just swirling around in my head. Just I mean, there's other options of things that would be nice. I mean, like I said, I want them to understand the business. I would like them to be a business owner, even if it's on a small scale, but understanding how, like I talked about understanding how baseball business works, but just understanding business in general would be amazing. Like
Yeah.
if we can't have option A, I would like option C, you know? I need some sort of understanding of the economics of running a business, even though it's going to be scaled up. There's other people that can help you along in that learning curve. I mean, even if like, especially if you are one of the younger guys that Justin is proposing, I don't have any names just because I don't know what kind of person he's targeting.
So someone younger who grew up with baseball and it's one of its darkest hours and still came through at the love of the game.
Yeah.
Like,
I-
imagine, hold on, imagine. Sorry for taking it.
yeah.
Imagine your favorite player is Sammy Sosa. You follow his whole home run, his whole career, and then you find out he cheated. You're devastated. Your whole baseball life has been kind of a lie, but you come out through still loving the game. Them being commissioner would be a huge game changer for the game of baseball. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, that kind of love and passion for the game would be the most we could find in anybody, which is what I want in our commissioner. So, my next one is this one. This is more if we go with someone older. Like this goes with Tommy's idea. I want them to have experience in sports and not just playing. Let's say the player. I'm trying to think. Maybe like Alfonso Soriano. I don't believe he's in the Hall of Fame yet. Let's say he gets hired as commissioner. He's had experience in baseball, but I'd also want to have experience not just playing, but like managing a team.
Yeah. Like somebody who's on both sides of it. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Yeah.
What's your next idea?
So this one's kind of just a thought. Like I don't have this fully fleshed out, so I'm just gonna talk you guys through it as this is just coming to me. Just because this is just another one I was just inspired by off the top of my head. I almost want them to be someone who's cheated. I want it to be a 2017 Astro. I want it to be. I almost do want it to be a steroid because the thing. I mean, something you can find, like in casinos, is that they're learning all they're going through all the tips and tricks and everything else that people learn to count cards and like cheat and everything else. They don't care, but like they just learn and understand the game, and they understand from their own personal experiences how this cheating, like how the cheating happens, like why it happens, and like punishments that could be doled out. Like they would understand what is fair and what isn't fair when it comes to cheating. They've been in that situation. I'm not saying it's an ideal thing. I feel like it's odd to reward somebody with a commissioner's job, and I feel like that's going to be a cold take in the long run. But I feel like that personal experience could be necessary.
I'll be honest. I kind of see where you're coming from, but in my opinion, that might have been the worst take I've heard from you. Think about the outrage of fans. Everyone besides Astros fans will be furious. Baseball will go into a dark spiral. No one's gonna want a Jose Altuve as commissioner. Fans would leave if that happened, and I think that would
I
hurt
don't
baseball.
think so.
Why?
If they can prove that they can change the game, make it a better place, and overall bring new people in, bring new fresh experiences, and turn over a new leaf in general, it would be a revolutionary story.
Okay, it could be revolutionary. I'll say that, but Yankees and Dodgers fans would not. They would stop following baseball as a whole. They would petition for him out. Like it'd be too much controversy for baseball to thrive.
I think baseball has thrived in controversy way too many times. I mean, Barry Bonds, Pete Rose, the game is going to keep on chugging. The 1919 Black Sox.
Those are the players. This is commissioner. This is very different. You're bringing controversy from a player into the commissioner, the head of the game. That's very different. You're bringing a controversial player, putting him in the most important place in baseball. It's going to be too controversial.
Rob Manfred continues to be controversial. Yes, he wasn't a player, but he continues to be controversial day in and day out.
It's not controversial. Everyone hates him. I would rather have Rob Manfred than us instate Jose Altuve because it'd be too much controversy over the most important place in baseball. It just wouldn't help the game grow. I disagree. I kind of see where you're coming from, but I think that a 2017 Astro is not the way to go. And maybe someone more like Pete Rose, who bet on the game, who didn't cheat, but got severe consequences. I think he would be someone like around him who wasn't recent and is not as controversial and as hated would be better.
I don't know. I think that time is going to heal all wounds. If we're being completely honest, the Dodgers have won a World Series. The Yankees inevitably are going to win another World Series. Face it, that's the fact of life when we're a baseball fan. The fact of life is the Yankees are going to win another World Series at some point.
At some point, they will. Yes, Dodgers fans, yeah, they won another World Series. They're still not happy. They don't even want to sign Correa for the most part. They're still furious. Think about it. They could have had 2 in the past 5 years. Instead,
Justin, I've talked to you about the Cubs signing Correa. We've talked. I don't think we've talked about it in this podcast specifically.
No, I would be happy. I'd be happy to sign Correa. Correa is a generational talent. Yes, he cheated. Didn't severely affect the Cubs. He would not be my favorite player. He would not even be in my top 5. That is me strictly wanting the Cubs to compete.
I don't know. I think if people can accept him into their fan base, then the league can accept him. They can make the league a better place.
You know why I can accept him into the Cubs? Because I have his pen. Think about how cool a Cubs player's pen would be in my memorabilia collection.
Yeah.
I have that connection. It was before he cheated. He came, signed the ball, left the pen. I snatched it.
Everybody loves the
I should
story
use
of
that
David. Everybody loves the story of Rocky. They like these triumphant stories where people are overcoming the odds.
Overcoming the odds. I like the idea. That's Here's the thing. Those are movies. Those are movies. Rocky, great movie. It's a movie. I don't think that Altuve would be. He's gonna be too controversial. Hush. It's just can't. It can't be done.
I just don't think anybody would. I just don't think that history would still put a black asterisk next to Altuve, Correa. I mean, if they hired what Hinch or what's his name, Hinch or Finch, I can't remember off the top of my head.
AJ Hinch.
Yeah, there we go. If they put him as in charge, I mean, it still would receive controversy. But I think
Yeah, I think
if
think
they
AJ
make the
Hinch would
game
be
a better place, everything would be fine. Like, and I think they honestly have the opportunity. They have that experience, and there's good players. Like even before, if you like you said, Correa is a generational talent.
No,
Altuve is a
100% they would have
generational
won a
talent.
championship without cheating. I've stood by that ever since the allegations were put out. They didn't need to cheat to win a World Series. Would it have been in 2017? Maybe not. Would it have been within the next 5 years after that? Yes.
Okay, if you look at 2019, I mean, I don't remember if I don't think I saw any evidence of them cheating throughout 2019. I don't think any surfaced.
I don't think they cheated in 2019.
They were one of the best hitting teams since Murderers Row.
Yeah,
If you're
no,
not familiar with Murderers Row, it's the 1932 Yankees.
they did not need to cheat, but they did. No, think about it. It's one thing for a team that wouldn't win a championship to cheat. That was the only way. The Astros cheated just to try and win more World Series. They were a lot to get it. They were the best team in the league, and they still cheated. They are too controversial. I will never respect any of that managerial staff that wanted to do it, or really any of the players who went along with it, unless Trey signed with the Cubs. And that's just me again wanting them to compete and having this pen.
I don't know. I think I mean another option is if you still want to have somebody who understands the controversy is you bring in somebody from that team who we know wasn't involved.
I can get behind that, but how are we going to prove that they weren't involved?
I mean, don't we have proof about who was in? Like we know that there was a
We know the players who were using buzzers and stuff, but we don't have proof of if people didn't know about it. Verlander probably didn't use the stuff because he was a pitcher. He probably knew about it.
I don't know. I think it's one thing to say you know about it, and then another thing to actually
Well,
partake in it.
he didn't try and stop him. He didn't want to trade. He didn't come out with anything. If they knew about it and didn't say anything, they went along with it.
Yeah, I mean, aiding and abetting, you're not by default if you're not if you're not actively resisting doing something, you are a member and are committing that crime.
My last point of what I want to see in the commissioner, almost anyone but Rob Manfred. Simple as that. Get him out. He voted Ken Rosenthal over getting criticized. Everyone gets criticized.
Yeah.
Given he was employed by the MLB and probably in his contract, he's not allowed to say what he did. So, but he should have been suspended or something. Punishment needed to happen. He can't be talking about it as his employer. But firing one of MLB's most favorite and best journalists was not the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm upset, sure, that they fired Rosenthal. I don't see it as that big of a deal. So let me talk through this, right? Like you said, Rob Manfred has a right to fire him. Mm-hmm. There are things that, like you said, could be built into his contract for criticism. And Kent Rosenthal is still going to put out articles. This doesn't stop him from criticizing. He can still talk and do whatever he wants. Ken Rosenthal can still be this world-class sports reporter. Him and Passan are the 1-2 punch if you're talking about sports reporters. You gotta, I don't know. I feel like you gotta like acknowledge that fact and say, sure, I am sad too. Like I like Ken Rosenthal a lot. And like it sucks that he's gone, but it's like one, there's nothing we can do about it anymore. He's fired, he's gone. And number two, he's still going to be putting out articles elsewhere, and we can still learn from him, appreciate his wisdom, and he can still grow as a reporter.
You tell me, you're not wrong, but you're not exactly right. It's not the fact that Ken was fired that upsets me. Well, that he's fired, right? He's not going anywhere. He'll still be making content. It's not like we're losing Ken Rosenthal. But
Exactly.
here's what upsets me the most about it. The MLB had the highest patron viewership in years, in probably in decades. And then in the off season, it was the perfect time to market and get people involved in the game and growing the game, which is a huge deal in baseball right now. We've had multiple athletes come on saying the biggest thing they want to see change in baseball is growing the game. And they always talk about it. Shane McCarthy, who came on the podcast, has runs a business that I don't know if I believe it's a business, but he has an Instagram page that is literally called Growing the Game, where he posts stuff, he interviews himself, has people sending questions, showed his recovery from Tommy John, which is great. He's doing a great job. He also donated a bunch of money for every strikeout he got this season, and then doubled or tripled it because he got hurt to make up for it, and I believe he raised over like $10,000 for cancer. He's doing a great job. Shane McCarthy is a great guy, and he's wanting to grow the game, which is huge. Here's the problem: is Manfred allowed this to go to lockout, which I get it. There wasn't much time to stop the lockout.
Also, isn't
But
I mean
then I'm not quite done. I'm sorry. I'm almost to my point. I am. But then he goes and fires the most liked person in baseball besides players and managers. That hurt the game more than the lockout did.
2 points in response. Number one, I like Passan more than Rosenthal. I
Okay,
like
but
his
that's
person.
one person.
I like
There's
his
more people.
personality, his writing style. That's just my personal
Okay, that
opinion.
is fair. I'll rephrase it. One of the top 5 most liked people in baseball besides players and managers.
Yeah, from outside of the MLB bubble.
Yes.
We'll put it that way.
I'll rephrase that.
And the other thing is, so I'm going to preface this. I want Manfred to be fired, right?
Right.
You know it's coming. But
You're in your butt.
the lockout wasn't his fault. At the end of the day, the lockout wasn't his fault.
No, you're right.
He can't facilitate the deal. He can oversee and moderate any debate or discourse that happens between the owners and the players. But at the end of the day, they have to come to an agreement, and they have to come to an agreement. It's the owners and the players. That has to happen. Only at that time can Manfred then support the game, put it into existence, and we can continue to grow the game as people have been trying to do.
I misspoke. You're right. But still, knowing that the game was in a lockout, he fired him, which is only going to hurt the game more. He has to be knowing that he still has to grow the game even during the lockout, and still firing him only is going to hurt him and make his job even more likely he'll be fired.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'll finish off with this one last thought on Manfred. He is, in recent memory, the most controversial commissioner in all of sports, period. Like all 4 major American sports. I think that, I don't know, I feel like for a lot of things he's done his best. I think there's multiple occasions where he has done his best. He has spoken out about wanting to continue to grow the game. Like he has still stood for this mission.
That's okay. I agree. He's tried his best, but like it's the bare minimum as a commissioner to want to grow your game. Like that's the bare minimum to me.
May I?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a lot of changes in wanting to make the game more exciting. Like it's been more than just set. Like, okay, the runner on second and in extra innings. It was a bad rule, but the thought behind it is, I mean, unfortunately, if you're a Manfred hater, that's what counts. He was trying to make the game more exciting because he understands that's a problem with the game. And okay, another example I'm going to draw on. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Banana Ball of the Savannah Bananas. It's a new form of baseball. Justin doesn't know even, so that's not claiming to be baseball, and Manfred shouldn't try to do that. You can do some research later on that, Justin. We can, in fact,
Well, will you send me what it's called?
Yeah, we might in fact do an episode about it. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
But he realized that that's its own offshoot of baseball, and he doesn't need to do entirely that, but it can be good to make the game more exciting, more marketable to young people. And while wanting to promote both the rich history of the game and wanting to make it more exciting, like even like, I don't know, I feel like he's trying. I feel like I still want him fired, but I feel like he's getting more hate than he deserves. He deserves to be fired, but he's getting more hate than even he deserves.
Well, I think we should end at that. I don't fully agree. I think he deserves the amount of hate he's getting, but we both agree he should be fired. He's stating what we want to see. I think that's all there really is to this episode.
Yeah, I mean, if there's other things that you think we missed, or you want to call me out for having an outrageous take on the 2017 Astros,
It's
go
not an
ahead.
outrageous take. Like, I can see where you're coming from. I think it's just too much controversy for the commissioner's chair. I do kind of like the idea of having someone controversial take it, though. I just think
I
you went
don't know.
with.
I think it could be important. I don't know. I mean, if it works, it's one of those. It's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing, just to a larger scale as your young guy.
Mm-hmm.
If it works, okay.
Phenomenal.
All I'm saying if it works, baseball is going to be back as the nation's pastime. It's going to be the ultimate triumph.
Well, you can't. Baseball is this nation's pastime. You can't.
It's
take
lost
that.
that. In my eyes, in the eyes of so many, it's I don't know. I love baseball personally, but it's lost that.
It's lost a lot of steam, yes, but you can't take. And is this nation's pastime? You can't take that away.
I don't know. I think everything holds an important part in American society, but that be it football, soccer, everything, all the sports in a crux hold America together in the quote unquote nation's pastime. But if we're looking purely from what people are watching, the Super Bowl is like the most watched event of the year, period.
Baseball is not the most popular sport right now. I'm more than admitting that. But basketball, football, hockey, soccer. Well, yeah, soccer. Well, soccer doesn't
to a lesser extent.
None of it has been as important to American history as baseball has, and that is why you cannot take baseballs away from being America's pastime.
I think
baseball's done more for this country
in history
than any other sport.
They need to sustain that. It does, like with the course we're on, it doesn't appear that that's going to be sustained.
Okay, but like think about it. Football, great sport, very fun to watch. Big fan of it. I'm in the fantasy championship. Like, love football. It is not done as much for our pastime as baseball has.
I mean, I agree. It hasn't been as influential in history, but it's going to surpass. And in fact, it has.
It hasn't. Here's how I think it is. We gotta end this soon. We'll do an episode on this and put it on the list. I want to leave with this part is maybe in the future. It's hard for me to see the present and the future as ever being history compared to like the Revolutionary War, the Civil War. I can never think that will ever be as significant as that.
Fortunately, it is. Well, like every single thing you do, it's history, man. Like it's
you're right.
It's
And COVID's gonna be up there with like the Civil War. It will be taught in schools. It's hard for me to see that.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to get past that lump. So maybe I'm wrong, but
the precedent has been set. The gauntlet has been thrown down. I don't know. I think Rob Manfred, if he can, I mean, it's put up or shut up. If he can get if he can get people through the lockdown and we can make it a successful year next year, there's an argument for him to stay. Like, that's just, it is what it is.
If you can get through the lockout and build baseball back up, maybe I'll be willing
I
to
mean,
talk about
even
it.
just small growth would be amazing next year. Like these baby steps can even if it's just little by little, it can be important to building the game.
Well, we gotta call it here. I've been saying that for like the past 10 minutes. We keep getting off track. We're
Yeah.
calling it here. Also, I've been meaning to say this for a few episodes. If you want to see like behind the scenes of stuff like this, interviews, conversations we have with our interviewees after the episode, I just started my own personal TikTok at CNT Yardmark. No underscores, no capitals. I post a whole bunch of content, not just CNT, a lot of stuff about CNT and a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I don't really get to post on the main Instagram and TikToks because it doesn't really fit in as well with everything else. I post on my main. So if you want to see behind the scenes stuff, you gotta head there. Also,
Yeah.
follow our main Cards and Talk account on Instagram and TikTok. We're 10 away from 300 on TikTok. I believe we're 1 away on Instagram from 200.
There we go.
So follow. We already ran the giveaway. There's not going to be another one. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See you.